Well, we're live, so do what you gotta do.
Yeah, welcome, friends, to Tanked Up, episode 353. I'm one of your hosts, Ben, here with Lucy.
Hi, good to see you again.
Hooray, and Aadil.
Hey!
It's the start of 2023, fucking hell. Where did 2020, 2021, and 2022 go, really? It seems to be stuck in a loop.
I'd extend that to, 2012.
I was gonna say,
Mate, we can go back. We'll go back to 2013 because, as I read today, The Last of Us will have been out for 10 years.
oh, that's weird.
What the
that
fuck?
seems okay though. That game seems like it's been out.
Yeah, I mean, it's been remade 3 times now, right?
Yeah, I'd say that's it's actually not that long ago. Something like this happened 5 years ago, and that was 2017 or something. That's mad to me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, fair. Let's start this episode and the new year off in high fashion, as we always do, with a few drinks and talk about some video games. Aadil, I note you are beerless.
I am beerless
this week. Are you drinking anything? Got yourself water? Got yourself tea?
I've got water, but then I also have
jug.
a sodastream, which has been recently filled, and some lemon. So that's that'll be round 2 if I pound back this 500 mils of water.
See how quickly you get through it. Lucy, what are you drinking this evening?
I was going to go the water route, like Aadil, but last minute driving to Morrison's today.
Okay.
And I have picked up, because it's January, and we're all trying to be good until the wheels come off, mid-January/February. But I'm drinking a alcohol-free beer. It's from Big Drop Brewing. It's called Pine Trail Pale Ale. It's 0.5% because actually there's a Brewlo that I got downstairs which is also alcohol-free that they're selling at Morrison's. That is 0.0.
Oh wow!
Okay.
So that's definitely alcohol-free. Obviously, if there's even a tinge of alcohol, they have to disclose it. So it's 0.5% on this one. Hops are Magnum, Mosaic, and Amarilla. The flavour text, it says, a delight for the senses, this beer delivers on all levels. Rosy floral aromas are as immediate as you... Oh, sorry. Let me start that again. Rosy floral aromas are immediate as you pour, with a light and limey citrus bite on the palate and a balanced but obvious bitterness to finish. So yeah, I've had Big Drop Brewing only once. It was at a beer festival, one in Birmingham, and the guy was just like, "Come over and taste it," as every vendor at a beer festival does. And yeah, it was hard to tell that it wasn't, didn't have any alcohol in it. So if it translates to cans, in fact, I think it was a can they were serving it out then. But yeah, we'll see what several more, at least 4 years more of alcoholism has done to me. See if I can withdraw to 0.5. So yeah,
brilliant,
we'll see.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm also going to partake in the experiment of incredibly low alcohol beers. Yeah, Kim decided she wanted January off. I said in solidarity, I will only drink on the podcast. I won't drink through the week. I thought actually it gives me an opportunity to try out some alcohol-free beers.
Yeah, I was gonna do that, and then I didn't get around to going to the bottle shop.
How did we all plan this independently? Maybe we are just like a hive mind.
That's it.
We know
it's
each other
now.
that much.
Exactly. 7 years has done it to us. It was just like alcohol-free beers never just goes ping. So I've got 2 because I don't know how quickly they're going to go back. It being alcohol-free, who knows whether it's going to be like water and you're just slugging it back. But I thought I'd start with a beer Wiper and True have just brewed. It's called Tomorrow. It's a 0.5% lager. They've gone from gold to blue on their cans.
That's very pretty. I like that.
Bit of flavour text, and some ingredients, perhaps. But what are you doing tomorrow? The world is your oyster with our deliciously easy drinking alcohol-free lager. Using market-leading technology, we gently remove the alcohol from this traditional German-style lager over a period of 60 hours. This process carefully preserves the complex flavour profile of bread crust and gentle herbal notes from traditional German hops, balanced by a crisp, clean finish. Doesn't tell me the hops. Just traditional German ones.
That's fair.
That's somewhere
does yours
else?
have a calorie count? Because I've just seen online it has 56 per can.
It does. Energy values, yes. Per 100 millilitres, it's 12 kilocalories.
Okay, so what's that, 400 can?
440, yeah.
Yeah, so pretty much the same.
48, 50, 52, something like that, yeah. So yeah, let's get these cracked.
Yes.
Exciting. Lean into it, absolutely.
Exciting until we taste them and there's a spit take on.
I mean,
instantly.
I've definitely had a few in the past couple of years and seen they're so much better and more nuanced than they were 5 years ago.
Yeah, because I remember having Brewdog Nanny State many years ago. I was just like, there's no point.
Oh god, Nanny State is crap, isn't it?
I mean, with some of them, like something like Nanny State and stuff, you pay what, £2.50, maybe £2 for a bottle or whatever they were at that point, 5 odd years ago. And yes, you're already paying your water rates, and as long as you're not on rates and you're just paying your bill, water's free from the tap essentially. You might as well just drink that rather than spending £2.50 on something brew doggish.
In that case, that's what I'm having. Is I bought a brew dog and threw it out and having water.
I think mine was the Brulo or the Big Drop. One was £1.50, one was £2, and you buy 4. You get the
cheapest free,
at Morrison's. So
nice. How is the Big Drop? Because I've just from looking at the Wipe and True, I have instant thoughts.
As do I. Mine sort of came out like from concentrate apple juice.
I was about to say that
really
looks like
the
giant. I don't know if you had these, but we had family-sized juice boxes of concentrated juice. Wow,
very similar.
Yeah, it looks very thin. But it does have that pea colour, somewhere in between hydrated and dehydrated kind of colour. But the aroma's nice. You are getting those. You're getting citrus, a bit of floral notes. I'd say it smells like lychees, which I think is a very nice smell.
Oh, I love lychee.
Yeah, so it does smell nice. Let's hope that follows through to the taste.
Hopefully it's not incredibly thin.
It is thin. It's got a bitterness to it, though, which brings it over to the beer side. So,
okay.
I think what it lacks, though, is that, that citrusy punch that you're getting on the aroma. It's got plenty of hops in it. It's got Mosaic, which is a hop I know well. Not really getting that at all. Maybe on the end of the taste, just the aftertaste. But Magnum, Mosaic, Amarillo is not really getting that through. I think where it's lacking most is the body. But you'd think, malts and hops would do that, but they are taking a lot out of it. But but the flavour isn't that bad. It's more close to the watery side than it is to the flavourful side. But I don't know. It's. I wish it was bit more hoppy, a bit more carbonated, to be honest.
Yeah, both of yours look kind of flat on the pour.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine had like quite a few bubbles, large bubbles, as I poured it. But now there's barely anything. So I would just rather drink water. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I'm not someone who's like, oh, I hope I'm not like, oh, I need a drink. I just have a glass of water because I can just forego the 56 calories. And then maybe just have actual alcohol another time. But yeah, it's this Pine Trail Pale Ale. It's not even getting like any like that name. It evokes you expect some pininess, some spruce or something.
Sure,
you know? But not getting any of that either. It's not like, you know, very horrible tinny metallic kind of taste that, you know, you look at something like this and you'd think maybe, but at the same time it's not doing much. I think you need the body, you need, you know, that mouthfeel to make a good beer, in my opinion. So yeah, it's alright.
Fair. I mean, let's see how well my thoughts echo yours, Lucy. Or as we've been saying already, in the way that it looks, it's almost identical. So thin looking, little bit of haze to it, but it has that slight straw color to it, but without the heft of the kind of body and that big haze behind it. It does look a bit more like piss. Incredibly
really concentrated piss. You need to drink more water.
Yeah, very much. It did pour again with a bit of carbonation, but that went straight away. And the nose is incredibly light. Bit of citrus on there, maybe a little bit herbal, but that comes across because it's quite light. A little bit kind of washing up liquidy. Not massively, but it's got that little bit on the nose to it.
Bit soapy, yeah.
There's much more carbonation.
Oh, good.
When I'm drinking than you would
good.
Assume from this. Goes back very easily. That flavour isn't... You're getting those hints. You're still getting those sort of slightly herbal hints, but it's not sort of peppery. It's not maybe that kind of coriander leading into a soapiness. But there is a combination with a citrus more kind of lemony that does push it towards that sort of way where you're kind of a bit not too drying, but it still just has that connotation to it, at least for me, of being in that kind of end. And it's not even washing up liquid once you've poured it in. It's sort of, you've done a full load of washing up and it's that kind of smell afterwards, you know, that slightly citrus, little bit, it's a bit watery. But actually, because of the mouthfeel, because it having that carbonation to it, it pulls a little bit of bitterness along with it. And it heightens on that initial flavour a little bit more of the herbal notes than the citrus. The citrus of the lemon kind of kicks in a little bit more, leading me further down that path. But that initial flavour is almost a little bit harsh with that bitterness and those herbal notes, which I quite like. Okay. And I'm going to have to keep drinking it quite quickly. Great that it's 0.5% to maintain that flavour rather than the back end of this beer. Which
I think. I mean, mine's already halfway gone, so I think...
Oh, wow.
I think that's the concern, isn't it? It's like, I'm not getting, you know, that satisfying... I'm not being sated, so it's like I keep going for more. It's not like a good beer where you are sated, but you feel compelled to go back because the flavour's there, the body's there.
You want to pursue it.
It's just like, where's the rest of you? Are you at the bottom of this glass? Where are you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like my self-described least favorite thing is a beer that forces you to have more of it, right?
Yes. Yeah. You stay away from these beers, Aadil, completely. Stick with the water. I know there are breweries out there who, I wouldn't say specialise in alcohol-free beer, but that's mostly kind of what they do. And if we get to my second, one of those breweries is included within this. And I did pick up a couple of other ones for next week as well, which I think are made more by those kinds of breweries. So it'll be interesting to see what I get this week versus maybe what I get next week. I don't know how many alcohol-free beers Wiper and True have made. I think they almost kind of market it, at least in the flavour text, is saying we're using market-leading technology to remove all of this stuff. They're giving you the process. They're telling you kind of what they're doing. So whether this is a first foray into this for them, I'm not sure. But yeah, it's fine.
They nailed the packaging.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's very inviting.
All the Wiper and True's packaging is great. But I'll be interested to see what the Brewlo tastes like. There was I was told that the Holy Faith from Northern Monk is quite nice. So might try that. Don't know how far down this road I'm going to go, but first week of January.
I can't remember whether I did it last year, whether it was last year or whether it was the year before, or whether it was when Kim got pregnant, perhaps, that I had a few alcohol-free beers on again because she wasn't drinking, so we cut back on our on what we were buying. I think I had a few supermarket ones. One being Lucky Saint, which is the one that always sticks in my mind as being the one that I enjoyed the most out of that batch of ones that I picked up. So it might be worth a pick up as well.
I might pick that one up. Yeah, because I did dry January in 2021. Yeah, so I don't think I'm going to do that again.
I mean,
to be honest, I worked so much that month. Yeah. It was like, I'm more productive when I don't drink. Oh my god.
Oh, amazing.
I have never done dry January. I am going to try and cut back on how many drinks I have when I go out.
Yeah, I think that's the more sensible way to go. Like, just changing habits and the way of thinking overall rather than just going cold turkey for 1 month.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know when I drink and, like, the traps, it's like, oh, there's football on, let me have a beer. United are losing. Let me have 12 more to numb the pain. And it's like, okay, it's like, just understanding those triggers and understanding when I drink and why I drink, and it's like, yeah, I can probably cut that out. Yeah. It's like, during the World Cup, not really compelled to drink at all.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
So, yeah, but, good. I mean, you've got a social life, Aadil, so it's like, unlike the rest of us, so it's just like, that sounds doubly hard to...
I mean, it's part of it, right? It's because I now realize that it's a lot easier to have a lot of nights in a week, sort of be too much. Like, I don't need 3 to 5 nights a week of 5 beers.
No, maybe just
2
to 3.
Yeah. Like, so it's like, it's one of those things where it's like the department talk happens on Wednesdays and we go to the pub. So if you're not watching yourself, you'll easily. And then a lot of the time I go to dinner with the speaker afterwards. So it's a couple drinks there. And so it's like, oh, if I have a couple drinks at the pub and I go for dinner, then I'm minimum at 4 or 5 drinks without even paying attention, right? More likely I'm at like 6 or 7. And that's just like work stuff.
Yeah.
That's like already a big night that's just going to be weekly.
So easy to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, like some of the contracts that I've been on, like literally every lunchtime we're at the pub.
Yeah.
And lunchtime then turned into after work drinks. Oh my god. I was grateful for the pandemic because that was 2019. It's like, oh, I can not drink as much because I'm not going out. And it's just like,
just drink at home now.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and I did. But I think after turning 30s and the hangovers get even worse, I'm just like, can't do this anymore, man. Can't do it anymore.
Gets more difficult. Absolutely.
Yeah. Because every time like I have a hangover now, I'm just like, which is rare, really rare now. Just like, damn it, got caught again.
Yeah. Yep. I before Christmas, I had a night where I must have drank, I don't know, 10 beers, something like that. Only maybe 330ml cans. They're all lower percentage. They're all 5, 6s. There might have been a couple of things like a couple of bottles of Red Stripe or something in there. So a couple of like even lower ones for an felt absolutely fine the next day. Came back to Bristol, had like 3 beers and felt awful the next day. It's just like, what is the difference? Did I eat like twice as much on that day that I drank loads? Is it because I started at like 10 o'clock in the morning or 11 o'clock in the morning, whenever we got together and cracked the first beer sort of thing? Is it because I had it over a much longer period of time and drank for 12 hours rather than sort of cramming in 3 beers in 3 hours sort of thing? Too many variables to know. But, I think age is definitely one of those.
Right.
That's the constant.
Yeah. Let's hope it doesn't just continue to get worse.
Oh,
Let's talk about games. Something that keeps us young. Maybe.
Does it?
Yeah, maybe. We can jump in with whatever we want to talk about on games. What we've been playing over the last sort of couple of weeks since we did our end of year show, because it's been a couple of weeks since we got together. So I might just jump in with a very, very quick thing to say. I'm probably going to talk about 2 games next week when I've had more time with them. I've dabbled very slightly in Elden Ring, and I've been mostly playing what the fucking stupid title is it? Final Fantasy 7 Reunion Crisis Core.
Sure, that sounds like a real game.
I think that's what it's called. I don't think it says remaster or remake or anything on it as well, because it is probably a remaster rather than remaster of the PSP
is this DLC
game.
For the
No, it's not. It's a completely separate game. As the original was back in like 2005 or 4 or whenever that released in the mid.
This is when I need a beer with alcohol,
right?
In moments like this.
JRPG. Oh fuck! No, crack the 10% stout. That's what we need. Both, I will say, both very competent games. Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core is a lot easier to play than Elden Ring. I'm breezing through Crisis Core. It's a game I have played before. I did play it on PSP when it originally released, but I've had that Gandalf moment, and I've just gone, I have no memory of this place.
Right.
I started the game up, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I've put this game so far to the back of my mind that I'm just like, was this included in the original game? Did I remember this bit. Okay, I can remember this. Why the fuck are they doing this now, though? Did this happen? And it's
that's my fear with getting back into Elden Ring. Like, I'll be like, what was I doing?
Yeah.
Getting killed by something.
Yes, I've done. So in Elden Ring so far, I've done lots of running away. Get on the horse and strategy. Run away.
Definitely a strategy, and I mean, that's what I did for probably the first 30 hours at least.
Well, no, for the first 30 hours you did walk away very slowly.
I managed to get fucked and open the wrong chest, and then spend a long time figuring out how to get from a very bad place to a slightly better bad place.
I just ended up dying, and I was like,
oh yeah.
Oh,
I died a lot on that run back. But then I did, within the first 30 hours, I killed my first dragon, and that felt great.
I still haven't.
That dragon in the, like, in the watery bit right close to the beginning. A fun fight. You can cheese him on the horse real easy, but it's more fun
I'm
to
not
try
good
and
at the
kill.
horsey.
Oh, I was bad, but I still tried it for a bit before I figured out a better technique.
That was the thing I was trying to get to grips with, being on the horse, and I got to the point where you get to I can't remember what they are, like the bonfires, whatever they're called, the shrines or whatever they are in this game. And I met
Touches of grace.
Yeah.
Yes, and I met the woman who's like, I'll be your fucking maiden or your virgin or whatever she is.
She didn't appear
like,
for me for
great,
hours
fine.
for me. I don't know why, but like I couldn't actually fucking do a lot until it happened.
I would assume I'd assume it's because there's certain points that you get to where it triggers, and because you had that giant leap, none of these places would allow you to do that. So you had to get to it. But I've done that. And there's a little kind of ruined camp out the front with some soldiers in. I'm like, cool, I'll kill those guys. And then there's this big gate.
Yes.
And you go up the hill. And when you go through the gate, there's some archers, and then this big monster drops down, and you've got to fight him.
No, you don't.
Like, fuck. Well, you're absolutely right. You don't have to fight him. I did, and I beat him first time.
Oh, wow, that's really impressive.
Well
those guys
I'm like,
suck.
cool. I'm like, cool. I'm getting this. I understand this game. I can. I played Dark Souls 1 and 2. I played Demon Souls when that came out. I get it. I'm like, I'm going to stop playing tonight. I've had my kind of half an hour because I've realised I can't just. I've got to have like a dedicated time. It's not a game where I can just drop away and go and help out or do something. I've got to have that dedicated hour or whatever to be able to play. So I'm like, cool. I'm finished. I'll go and save it. Sat at the shrine, whatever it's called, the bonfire. Loaded the game back up, came back in, and because I've touched the bonfire, all of the monsters are back. And I just thought, that's like maybe a mini boss. Maybe he won't drop back down, run straight up, and he just drops straight on my fucking head. And then it took me about 3 times to beat him again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm just going to get on the horse.
Yep.
Just run past
Correct.
it. Fuck it.
What you're supposed to do. I think the game is designed to, that encounter is supposed to teach you that you can fuck off.
Can run, yeah.
And then you meet the wolves, and then you go and meet the lady, and you get the jellyfish.
I've met the wolves. I
didn't get to
I met a small pack of wolves up the top of that hill.
But then you pick up all the shit in those cabins.
So I went and sat. So I haven't been into the cabins. I've
sat.
That. That's the next. I've stopped at that.
Go.
Camp.
Yeah, definitely explore those cabins. There's some good shit.
Okay.
And a weird lady.
Nice. Oh. Okay.
So are you doing like critical path? Where you like, did you go backwards from where you started?
I did, because I knew that I had a very limited amount of time to start with. I thought I'd do critical path because I'd stopped at a bonfire and I'm like, I've got all of these souls, or not souls, whatever it is in this game again. And I'm like, I don't know how to use them. I don't know how to level up. If I die, are they all just gone? How's this going to work? So I wanted to critical path until I got to a point.
Makes sense, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm up the hill. I might start exploring a little bit, but realising that there's a hell of a lot to explore back down kind of the bottom. So yeah, I might play through critical path a little bit because it keeps saying go to the castle. So I might go to the castle, see what's cracking up there, and then fuck around a bit.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Who knows?
It's a good game, and also I ignored the castle for a long time and just explored, and I think that by the time I got to the castle, it was better for it.
Yeah,
the critical path is
remember
like
if there were like markers and like tutorial, like go here, go there. When I played, I can't remember if there were. I know they've patched it several times. But, yeah,
the bonfires do give you they show you almost the critical path. They give you an indication. So
yes,
it sort of has like a trail which goes. It's over there somewhere. Go over that way somewhere. I think that's it so far.
Yeah.
Sort of guide wise as such.
Yeah. Interesting to hear your continued adventures into Elden Ring.
Yeah, I think with unless I start getting more codes for games, which is unlikely because of time to actually play them, Crisis Core and Elden Ring will probably be the rest of January for me, more likely. I don't know whether there's much coming out this month.
I think there
January
is.
always seems like a bit of a dead month, but in reality, it never is.
No, and then like 12 games come out.
Yeah,
like, I think there are maybe that Dead Space remake or something.
Oh yeah,
and that Is it Forspoken?
Well, that's out this month, is it? Maybe.
I know it's early.
Was it last year or maybe the year before, like February, where everyone got out of everyone else's way, and then it was like, oh no, it's just all the games are releasing literally on just one day in February.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
It's a pure joy. But yeah, that's it from me in terms of games. Aadil, have you had a chance to play anything? Or even some long flights?
Nope.
Fair.
That's fair.
Yep. I had long flights. I did not play games. I tried to actually sleep. I watched some bad movies. That's about it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Although I am going on a trip next week. Giving a talk at a conference in Germany. So I'm taking the Steam Deck, and perhaps if the people are boring, check it out. I can play video games in the evening because I'll be bored.
Oh.
That's fair. I imagine there's going to be, as your standard academic life is, lots of schmoozing and
I've already been given a warning that the people organizing this are enjoy the alcoholic consumption.
I mean, in Germany.
Yeah.
Why not?
I mean, so my buddy gave like the department talk there, and apparently when they went out afterwards, like shots were involved. So I can't imagine what they've got funding for a conference, who's paying for the hotels, etc. Nights out was gonna be.
I mean, I think you're probably safe getting lost in a UK city and finding your way back to where you need to be. Please don't get lost in a random German city.
No. Yes. Remember this so remember like 20 minutes ago where I'm like, I've resolved to drink less in January. Or in general, I should say. Not in January, in general. Yeah. It'll be interesting.
It'll be fun.
Perfect. Lucy, what have you been up to for the last couple of weeks?
I also haven't played much. I played Melatonin, which review up on the site outoflives.net. I encourage you to read it. Because I think it's a good review. I have to big up myself now.
Yeah, absolutely.
As you should.
Yeah. What have I been playing? I mean,
what kind of game is that?
Here and there. Oh, it's a rhythm. It's a rhythm game. Which it's as someone who's not good at rhythm games is actually a very approachable one. Because it has lots of accessibility features. And yeah, it's a nice relaxing time. It's not stressful or you don't need precise timing all the time because you can change the settings to your to your skill level basically. But yeah, it's good. Go read my review. What else? Stuff like Vampire Survivors and stuff like that, and Into the Breach. Just been dabbling in those when it's like, I don't want to play anything, but I want to play something.
Yeah, taking over in those like comfort games almost. Yeah.
What's anything to say about the Vampire Survivor DLC?
No, because I've only played because I think it was just one level, and I've only played it once. It's big, and it's kind of maze-like. So it's a bit different compared to other levels.
Is that the Mount Moonspell?
Yeah.
One where they've got like specific areas kind of within, and there's the actual path. It's not just an open field. There's paths and stuff to actually kind of take through the map.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. But I haven't really dug much into it. I think I survived 30 minutes on it. I can't remember.
Oh, okay.
Or got very close to the end, but yeah, I haven't really explored much of it. I've been playing the word games. Okay, the developer Chris, he told me how to pronounce this, but I feel like I always butcher it every time. But there's several games, word games, and it's the one I've been playing recently is called Letterbox by Poggy.
Oh yeah,
Powgi.
Oh yeah.
Which I just recently finished. It's just like something I have in like rotation with like New York Times crossword and Wordle and stuff like that. And it's just like, yeah, and I ping a achievement every time I do them, so it's like it's nice for Microsoft rewards points. But Letterbox is basically a like 5x5 grid, and there's letters all on the edges except in the corners, and then you've got like gosh, how many letters would that be? Is it 4? Anyway, and then you got a word, and it's like you have to put all the different letters in each different square. It's sort of like Sudoku, so it's like it reads a word across and down. So it's like, it's probably one of the easier games from that by Paugi series. But yeah, it's like just something that massages my brain enough. But wrap that one up, and yeah, there's some hard ones that I still haven't finished, like the word ladders and stuff like that. But yes, that's what I've been doing with my time, just bits and bobs.
Yeah, it's a nice time of the year to just relax and not have to feel like you've got to get into something.
Mm-hmm. One thing I just remembered though, I say that I've only been playing little bits and bobs and not much, but I've somehow put like almost 50 hours into potion craft. So I don't know how that happened, but I looked at it's just been that's been like sort of one of these games on like rotation. It's like, okay, play like half an hour here. I think the first day I played like 8 hours, so fair enough. But like the last couple of days I've just been playing bits and bobs. It's it came out, gosh, I think late
just
December,
before Christmas?
early December. Yeah, something like that. It's on Game Pass. I'm playing it on Steam. Because I got a code for it. It's not quite a sim like I don't know, Harvest Moon or any of its like spin-offs like Stardew Valley or something like that. It's it's simish, but it's not hardcore sim. It's seen from this like 2D kind of perspective. You're running this potion shop. You're an alchemist, and one of the very smart things, one of the most unique mechanics, because I feel there's like been a lot of potion games recently, or at least I've heard of several, but this one has a pretty unique hook to it. So each potion, you own this shop, and you have this garden. You're not the garden just grows independently. You're not watering it or anything like that. Right. It's just each new day, more plants, mushrooms,
ingredients
sprout out of your garden. Yeah, you can't control what grows there. It's just automatic. And you've got the shop where you sell to customers. They come in and say, I want something for so I have burning loins tomorrow or something like that. And it's like, okay, I need a potion for libido. And then you have your little alchemy setup. It looks very cute. The whole game's got this like medieval tapestry look to it. It's very nice. But you've got your little alchemy setup, and behind the setup it's basically this map. It looks like a world map, and every time you throw an ingredient into your cauldron, it basically on the map it traces out a little outline. So when you throw more ingredients in every ingredient has a specific like path, particular route. So like say, okay, this green herb, this will make my trail on the map go west. Right. And then okay, this purple ore will make it snake round to that, like the north or south and stuff like that. And you're basically tracing out your route on this map. And I think it's a really like interesting mechanic. So it's like the mixing together ingredients and combination of different herbs and mushrooms and everything like that is visually portrayed on this like little adventure map. And there's like several places on this map where different ingredients are. So it's like, okay, the libido recipe is all the way to the west. I need to chain together several different ingredients that snake towards that ingredient in order to brew that. Or it's like, okay, the poison is to the southeast, or you know, it's a really interesting way of conveying that kind of mix of ingredients to create new potions. And it's got a nice tactile feel. I'm playing it on, just the trackpad on Steam Deck. Yeah. What I love about Steam Deck is like I booted up the game, and the default controls, it's like I just want to use the mouse pad. I think it was defaulting to like the analog joysticks, and you can just freely use a touchpad as a mouse. So all I did was go to the custom layouts that were done by the community. Went to the top one because that was the one that was like most
crowded. Yeah.
And then just download that. It's like, yep, just works out the gate. So I love that. But anyway, it's got a really nice tactile feel. It's like putting ingredients in like the pestle and mortar, and basically when you grind up an ingredient, the more you grind it up, the more it goes along its little path. The longer the reach basically you get with that potion if you grind it up.
Right.
And yeah, just like working the bellows and stuff like that, and haggling with customers and for better prices. It's good. And it has a end point, which is nice.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So there's 10 chapters. I think I'm on the 6th. And so it's all about, at this point, brewing some very interesting and special potions and mixing them all together. To what end, I don't know. I guess that'll be revealed in chapter 10, but I basically got this super alchemy kit in the basement where I'm conjuring up weird new ingredients, and don't know why. God knows what portal I'm going to open at the end of the game.
Exactly,
but,
yeah.
I'd love if it was just like a super right turn, or just like, wait, what the fuck?
Who knows? But some of the brewing certain things gets a bit finicky, because to get like the strongest potion, there's like 3 levels of potion, like weak to strong, and to get like the strongest potion, it has to, your path and where you end up on the path has to be perfectly lined up with this symbol on the map, and it can get a bit finicky.
Okay.
And that was a bit annoying to begin with, because you run out of ingredients and it's like, oh crap, how am I going to get this dead on the center of that icon? And it's like, okay, just gonna have to scrap this potion and waste all my ingredients. But the more I've been playing and like just earning money, just buying a ton of ingredients, that's lessened that frustration. But yeah, and my shop's doing well, got a good reputation, because if you start like selling to seedy ass customers, like you want to poison dogs and shank guards and stuff like that, yeah, it's literally that. Like they just come in and say like, I want to stab my neighbor or something like that, or poison my neighbor, and I'm just like, Jesus. But yeah, the more of them you serve, your popularity will increase, but then you attract the wrong kind of clientele, and then like shady people start coming in, and it's like, don't want that. So yeah, so I've got a good reputation and only serving people who need something for their burning loins, good wholesome stuff. So yeah, it's good. It's good. It was in early access for ages, and I thought it'd just be like, I don't know why I thought this, because if it's in early access, it's usually something with a long tail.
Right.
But I was like, oh yeah, I'll be in and out in like 9 hours or something. But apparently 48 hours later, here I am. I don't know where I found that time.
I was going to say, how? Where?
I don't know. I don't.
That's fair.
I fell into that portal I've been brewing. And
Exactly, yeah. Suddenly you're like, there's fireworks outside. Like, what's going on? Who knows? I'm just going to keep making potions. And everyone's like, Happy Christmas. You're like, no, potions, man. I'm just here to make potions. It's
either a lot of idle time, but then the Steam Deck usually accounts for that.
Oh, right, okay.
Like when you put it to sleep or something like that. Because I started on like the 2nd of January, that must be wrong. I can't have possibly played it for like 40, like God knows how long. I don't know. Maybe I have and just.
I'll just have a look. Potion craft. How long to beat? It did estimated time to complete all 29 potion craft achievements. This is from true achievements rather than how long to beat. It's 30 to 35 hours.
Wow.
Okay.
So, main story for potion craft. The median is 20 hours.
Okay. I'm guessing it must be like, idle time, because otherwise I've somehow torn the fabric of space and time. I don't think there's been 45 hours between the 2nd of January and now. So yeah, it must be at least
not waking
time.
hours.
No.
Is this it? Is this a trick? You just play these types of games in your sleep? Like literally?
I mean, I get 8 hours. That's something to do during that time. So,
nice.
But yeah, it's good. It's good. I recommend it.
Nice.
One of those mostly turn your brain off and just relax.
Brilliant. Cool. Let us turn then to a bit of a topic for this week. You know, we I don't know, was it the start of last year when we changed the
I think it was like
format
March
a little bit and we did kind of 2 episodes a week, an hour long. We might change it back to an hour and a half, 2 hours, you know, going forward, try and fit some topics in and things, revert back to our previous format, or do something completely different. We try and keep it a bit fresh, but we're fresh in revisiting.
It was clearly us trying to race to ep 350 because we were so prepared for that one.
Yes. What we call tanked up remake crisis point age
God
simulator or something.
Tanked up remastered 2
Dawn of the First Beer or something. I've opened a beer before we move on to our topic.
Oh, excellent.
Okay.
What is it?
Nice.
I've got no idea what that says. I don't know what the beer's called.
Hannah?
I mean, just
yeah, it looks like Ohana.
Ohana.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. It's from Exhale, but as a collaboration with Lowtide Brewing. So,
double dry hopped pale ale.
Yes, double dry hopped pineapple and lemongrass pale ale. But again, 0.5%. So interestingly, there's I don't know how you do this, but if it will focus, scan on Spotify, a little kind of code that then says check out Ohana's top tunes. Who fucking knows?
Weird.
What that is in relation to, because it doesn't tell me any more than that. But flavor text. This beer is a collaboration with our friends at Lowtide Brewery. A double dry hop pale with huge tropical fruit flavours and aromas, made with pineapple, lemongrass, and dry hop with Brew, One, and Sabro. This beer has all the flavour of some of our favourite hop-forward beers, but with less alcohol than a ripe banana. It has got pineapple and lemongrass in. It doesn't tell me any of the other things, really. Yeast, it says water, hops. He was already given us some of the hops in the flavour text. But yeah. It's a nice tin. It jumped out at me when I was looking down the shelf. It's completely different. Completely different to the 2 beers that we've
it has
already.
Oh wow, that looks like
it's
a beer.
got head It looks like a beer.
It looks like a hazy pale.
Maybe a little bit thin, but it's a pale ale. As our previous beers were, the White True was a lager, so you expect a little bit of a thinness to it. What's interesting is this smells like a yogurt. It smells like a pineapple yogurt.
Oh, wow.
It's odd. It's an odd smell. I don't know whether it's the combination of the pineapple and the lemongrass. Maybe the Sabro is giving it more of that creamy sort of note. But it's almost, we were talking about the smell of the last beer being a bit more dishwatery, and this looks a bit more like dishwater. It's maybe a little bit more orange on the camera than it actually is. It's a little bit more pallid. Actually, you probably get a better representation here of what that colour actually is.
So I was about to say that's a really nice looking beer, but yeah,
yeah, you get closer and it's like, oh, it looks lovely. It's not. It's back here. But I know it says it's pineapple, it's lemongrass. It's almost a bit more kind of apricot-y on the nose. It's almost like an apricot yogurt on the nose.
Aadil's shaking his head.
I mean,
it is thin.
It's thin. I wonder if I'm surprised the oat trend hasn't gone to alcohol free, given the theory that it's cheaper, but also it gives it that thickness and creaminess. You would think. I mean, maybe not on this particular beer. Now I'm curious if there are pale ales made or alcohol-free beers.
It doesn't have it in this beer. There's no oats in this, but that flavour does come across, and it's you do get the pineapple. It's very light. It's a really light, like whether the White True had that kind of more herbal and bitter note up front and went off. This gives you those initial kind of flavours. That pineapple, it does edge a little bit more towards something a bit more sort of light stone fruity, maybe a little bit sort of apricot. But that might be a bit more of the nose, as I've got my face in there, giving that to me. But the flavour fades so quickly. It's a little bit, a touch kind of bitter, maybe a little bit more from the lemongrass as well, which kicks in right at the end, and then that's sort of the flavour that I'm left with. But everything else is gone completely, really, really quickly. And again, super dry, such a dry beer.
Interesting. Mine was like very, very wet. It's like I'm still drinking it now, and it's like it's not dry at all. So I can't imagine. I mean, that dryness probably just enhances the need to just get through it. I mean, I'll save the brew low until next week. Try that experiment next week.
Yeah.
Just fingers crossed. But this one. Because I'd love, like, I think a lot of drinking is like that kind of, like, just instinctual, like, placebo, just like smokers, like, needing something to put towards their mouth and just, like, that movement. I think
there's also, like, when you're vibing with people, like, there's that psychological thing where you end up drinking with them.
Yeah. So I'd love to find a beer that's, like, flavorful and tasty, and maybe that, could do that. But
yeah.
Maybe
I know some
Ohana's isn't the one.
We've had what do they call them? Like micro.
Yeah, I'd rather small
IPAs
table
and stuff
beer.
like that, like table beer.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
This is where I almost always lean towards like the 3 to 4% because it's still a beer.
Even something like, I think Brew by Numbers or Colonel, they make amazing
Colonel's
table
table
beers,
beer
like,
is
so flavoursome.
fucking good.
Yeah. I'd rather that.
I'd rather like 2 of those versus a night of drinking the type of beer that you guys have described.
I like that. I like the. That's very democratic.
Well, maybe we'll build up to it. Maybe February is the month of table beers because it's nice and short. And at the end of that, we'll be like, fuck it, just go straight to 8% now.
I thought you were just like, what if we go from 0 to like 3, and then we just add 1% every month
each month,
and we had like 13-14% by the end. That's fine.
You're at stout.
Yeah,
season
barley
in
wines.
December.
Yeah, December.
Yeah, I like that.
Perfect.
That would be so interesting for us.
Further discussions to be had, maybe.
I think we'd break so much.
Let's talk about our topic, Aadil. I'm going to hand over to you, let you kind of intro, or at least discuss the article that you brought to our attention.
Yeah, this was an article on PC Gamer by Rick Lane. 2022 was a warning shot for the big budget games industry. And it basically talked about how the initial move is like the factual reporting of how we didn't have a lot of big games come out, and we're still reeling from how the long tail of COVID, because games take so long to make and everything got shuffled around because of COVID and moving to remote and whatever. But 2022, people were saying is like not a lot of games came out, but of course a bunch did. They were just not big ones, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is Vampire Survivor. We've talked a bunch about, and whatchamacallit, Penitent at the very tail end of the year.
Yeah.
But the claim here is like, of the new released big budget games, so you would think, given that so few big budget games came out, the ones that did come out would be blockbuster hits, and they just weren't, except for Elden Ring. Right? You had Modern Warfare 2, Plague Tale 2, Horizon 2, God of War, the second series, Part 2. Noticing a trend. Saints Row, the reboot. Dying Light 2, and all these other things, right? And I kind of don't care about what the author thinks is going on, except really just to us to talk about why we think these big budget games didn't work. The author sort of points out, I think, that it takes so long to make, and these big budget games all seem to need, for whatever reason, intricately detailed open worlds, provides dozens, if not hundreds of hours worth of experiences, lifelike characters, multiple fully realized towns and cities, animated platforming system, combat, a story, hundreds of thousands of spoken word dialogue and written dialogue, probably a stealth system, a crafting system, and a pseudo RPG method of progression. And it's kind of like they all need to keep up with each other, and maybe that's a problem. Yeah. And that's kind of the article goes on a bunch. If you're interested in what the author says afterwards, go ahead. I kind of wanted to take that part of the article and then us sort of talk about what we think about that and like what we'd want to see. I guess
because when I was reading the article, it was that point, that like little paragraph as well that like stood out to me. That was, games now. I can't remember who said it, but it's like recently, it's like games are too big to fail now. You know what I mean? It's like they've become so homogenized because it's like as the author of the article said, it's like you just gotta throw everything in. Like, when you're reading off, this game, the second one in this series, it's like God of War.
Yeah.
It's like what I've read about it and the criticism that I've seen is that it needs editing. It needs an editor.
Yeah.
And the first game had that issue. Like, I still have nightmares about that. Is it the Elfenheim or whatever, carrying those stupid crystals across those bridges that lasted about 60 hours. And it's just like, you haven't learned? Why haven't you learned? And
so that one made money. They didn't have to do anything different. Do the same thing. It made us money.
But it seems like they've put more in it, and it's like, is that just to be like the Dying Light people? It's like, look how big our game is. You know what I mean? It's like Horizon Zero Dawn. Loved that game. Less, impelled to go to the second because people have been like, it's a slow start, which was my criticism of the first. Like, I didn't even know if I liked that game for like 10 hours.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought I'd really love this robot dinosaur game, but it's kind of boring for like... And then like, after getting over that hump, loved it. But it's just like, how do they not care to make these games better? Or do they just want to make them bigger? It's like, and I don't have the time, the energy, the the mental strength to be playing games that are just big for the sake of it. It's like, edit your bloody games. It's like, there's no need for them to be this long.
Agreed.
There's no need. Yeah, the industry's a mess. It's like, because they cost so much and take so long, it's like, let's throw in the kitchen sink as well.
Well, it's also
just so that it's like we can cling on to something.
They're
I
so
don't get it.
big that they have to be run by corporate approaches, right?
But look at Elden Ring. Look how many games they put games out at a cadence that is ridiculous.
Well, yeah, but they are still.
Sony Santa Monica has put out 2 games in like the last decade.
Yeah,
and look how many From Software have.
But like, this is the thing of like the corporate approach is also part of, especially in the West, the corporate culture, which is, it doesn't matter what the industry is. If you are an exec, you can run things properly. And this is where gaming, I think, has gotten really fucked, right? Because the people who are the heads of these corporate structures, who like dictate what the director can and can't do and what the scope of the game can and can't be, are lifelong managers. They are not devs, right? And so from their perspective, it doesn't, a decision is not weighed against what will this do to the game. A decision is weighed on, will this garner shareholder value. And when you don't have a good understanding of games as an art form, let alone games as the technical thing that they are, bundle of technical tasks, then you're going to do the default corporate thing, which is, what worked last time? Do that again.
Yeah,
I think what worked over there across the street, we should do that too. And then they've all been doing this for so long that the across the street is this fucking web of shitty features. And they weren't shitty at the time because they were in games that were designed around that feature.
Yeah, I think that works in the case of like something like Gotham Knights, where it's like shoehorned in mechanics and stuff like that. I think in the case of like something like Horizon or God of War, I mean, Sony Santa Monica or Guerrilla or even, Naughty Dog with The Last of Us 2, which is too long, they probably like, we want to make a sequel, and Sony was like, yep, it's fine, the last game sold 10 million, here's a blank check. Someone should rein those games in.
Well, I guess
someone should be there to say, look, this is ridiculous, these games are too big, too long. Because, say if I was just a PlayStation 4 or 5 user who only cared about big games, I would rather play something every couple months, every couple, even each year, instead of waiting on a game that's going to take 5. How long was
this is the
Horizon Zero Dawn? 5 years. God of War was like 4, and it's like diminishing returns at that point when you're using the same engine, you're building on the same framework as the first game. It's like, why did these games take so long? And I think it's because they're chasing that prestige title. And it's just like, who cares? I'd rather just play a worse game like every year.
But I mean, this is what I mean about chasing things. Is like part of that chased feature set is this perception of length equaling quality, right? Like, God of War Ragnarok has to be this many hours long, and if they realize they've got, like, fluff, they can't cut it unless they spend another 6 months refilling that space. So the people who are running it are being disincentivized to cut things, because then it won't be the right length their, like, overlords are telling them they have to be.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
I think it's I suppose not the difficulty of game development, maybe the cycle of, how long things are in for pre-production for, and then production for, how much you can actually get out and say, cool, these are the beats that we want to hit in pre-production. This is the story that we want to tell. Take The Last of Us or something like that. This is the story that we want to tell. These are the locations we're going to set it in. We know what the gameplay is, and this is how we can get the story around with the gameplay. You then get into the production of that game. Some things become too hard, got to cut them, put something in instead, get a different asset, make something a bit easier, repeat some different assets around to make life easier for you. Cool. Simple things that you can do to kind of chop that time down. But actually, when you get into playtesting, to suddenly go, shit, there's like 10 hours of this game that people are going to fucking hate. It's very difficult to just cut that when you want it to be a 20-plus hour experience, because you feel that you have to have the need for that kind of, as you say, prestige level of games. And I just had a look at Game of the Year for the last few years. And the first thing that popped up was from the Game Awards. I looked at BAFTA as well, but BAFTA's a little bit more art-focused. Perhaps there's a lot more indie titles that get a lot more spotlight through BAFTA. But Game of the Year for the Game Awards, for the gamers, last year was Elden Ring. The year before it was It Takes Two, which was an interesting pick. The Last of Us Part 2 in 2020, Sekiro 2019, God of War 2018, Breath of the Wild 2017, Overwatch 2016, The Witcher 2015, and Dragon Age Inquisition 2014. All big budget games. Mostly, apart from maybe Overwatch, a lot of them, and It Takes Two, a lot of them following that formula, following that kind of open world, this kind of more action-based game with those RPG mechanics, some story to them, that kind of template that exists. And I wonder whether, again, it's partly that. They've gone, well, the last game, not even the last game that you made, you look at something like Days Gone, right? Very similar to lots of Sony games. And Sony probably went, fuck yeah. An open world game on a motorbike with zombies. We know that zombies sell. We've seen it with The Last of Us. We know that people love fucking open world games. We've seen it with all of the Assassin's Creed games and all of these kinds of things. It seems on paper like it should sell millions and millions of copies, and it probably did sell millions of copies.
I think it's. I mean, I know Sony and like the developers considered it like a failure, but I think it sold like millions of copies. I mean, from someone outside looking in, looks like it did well, you know?
Yeah.
Not well enough to...
Yes.
Yeah, that's the thing, it's like a game has to sell 10 million or it ain't nothing. It's
a very different conversation, but another interesting point from that is almost at what point does Sony then go, great, it sold 15 million copies, make number 2. Whereas it sold 5 million copies, and they go, don't pursue Days Gone anymore. And they go, great, we can do something different. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes, we've got a bit more freedom.
I want my game to not sell in that case.
Yeah. Yes, we can take some of those systems and we can work with some of the things and the technology that we have. But actually, we can do something different now.
I mean, credit to Sony. Like, they're putting out the games and they are good. They are very high quality. Like, Microsoft can't ship a big game to save their lives. So it's like, that's money down the drain. That's either comes out as crap or it's just never coming out, or it's like even a longer tail, like 8-9 years, like. So yeah, but it's just it's. I mean, I'd be sad if I because I do think I don't play big games, like play like 1 or 2 a year. And that's enough for me to satiate me, because it's like I got all these indie games. I couldn't imagine just being like, because when I look at like, console wars and stuff like that, I don't, actively seek them out, but it's like, oh, I'm looking at what Game Pass game that's coming out and someone's like, Sony better, or something like that. I'd just be like, yeah, you'd be pretty angry. Imagine if you were just waiting for like every blockbuster game. You'd be angry. You would be. You're getting to play like 2 games a year, and if they're not big ass GTA open world, hundreds of hours things, you'd probably be angry. But
but again, who's the market catering for? When we were kids, weirdos. And we got a game at Christmas, you might have got one at your birthday, you might have gone and got something secondhand in the summer holidays because your parents are like, fucking just get them a game so they can fuck off. Like, you might have had 3 games. You want as much play in those as possible. Whereas now, for us, and for what I would imagine is a continuing aging group of people who play games, that you want to keep up with that, but you also want those smaller experiences where you want to be able to fit in 15 minutes of being able to play something. That's why something like Marvel Snap has kept me. I'm like, cool, 5 minutes,
Mm,
bang.
exactly. Yeah.
You with the habits that kind of change. Yes, I brought Elden Ring off the backs of how much you guys enjoyed it, but I know that I won't finish that this year. I got no doubt that I will not finish that game. But I still wanted to experience that, and it will be cool. I've got an hour. I'll go and play Elden Ring for an hour. Brilliant. And I might play 1 or 2 hours a week. Maybe. And it's just sort of changing, I suppose, our habits. But again, that's great, because Elden Ring provides me with hundreds of hours of game to be able to delve into.
Every minute in that game is, like, worthwhile. It's not like you're, I don't know, throwing an axe at ravens for, like, the 50th time. You know what I mean? It's like every
you've got another collectible.
Yeah.
Yes. It's you know, there's no faff. It's a huge game, but it's like everything in there is quality and, you know, worth it.
It almost seems quite deliberate.
Yes, it has like game design. I know.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas some other games are just like, just put a collectible in for the sake of it.
Yeah, just bulk it out a little bit. You know, it's one of those where something like The Last of Us, which was very narrative driven. You know, it's a corridor game, basically. It had lots of sort of world building and storytelling through just the collectibles that you did pick up and those kinds of things. It wasn't just, I've got number one of 50 things. It was, I want to read this because I've suddenly realised that it's a continuation of the last collectible. You know, like Ish's story and stuff, where you pick up those like 5 collectibles through and it tells you about his kind of experience within that very small bit of the environment of the world.
Great.
It's those kinds of things that we want to see sort of more of, or like Elden Ring, where you go somewhere and you're like, what the fuck is this? And you go, how can I find out more about what this thing is? You know, I picked up a key or something, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
For where? I've seen no doors.
Correct.
Yeah.
How am I meant to know where this is for? It just wants you to get you to explore more, rather than just feeling like you have to explore.
Yeah. It's going to be weird, and like as you say, like changing times and stuff like that. I think the bad place that the industry's going to go next, and it's probably already going, is you know, people wanting constant multiplayer drops and constant season, what do they call it, battle passes, and constant content updates, and that's just like, seems exhausting. You know what I mean?
Again, it's that changing kind of but is it changing? Is it the industry changing it itself? You know, Street Fighter 2 released, 20 characters to play with, great, done. We'll just batter the shit out of each other and play Street Fighter 2. Cool. Multiverses comes out and it's great. We've got 15 characters, we've got 12 characters or whatever. There'll be another 5 by the next 2 months. There'll be then another 10 within the next year. Like constantly expanding, but also, okay, bit of a poor example, I suppose, with it being a free to play game, and then having that kind of give us £8 and you get these next characters. Or even Street Fighter 6 or 5, 5 it's just previously come out, which is here's 15, 16 characters, give us £10 and you can get another 4 kind of thing. We will build that roster for you, but you've got to constantly give us that money for it. Rather than just people going, cool, I've got the 20 characters, I'll just play with them.
Yeah, but I remember when, I think it was Apex Legends came out, and people were like, okay, we've you know, got to the max level and stuff like that. Where's the next part? And it's like, I think it came out in like February, and people like March were like, where's the rest? It's like they wanted it to keep up with like a cadence of something like Fortnite, which is you know, turning over billions. I remember Respawn came out and said like, look, we're not just going to crunch people to death to give you updates. It's like, just wait. That old timey thing called waiting and not having instant gratification. But yeah, it's a mess. Just give me like a small little Metroidvania game. Make a Monkey Island game every 18 months and I'll be alright. Yeah? I'm fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me something that came out on Steam for like £1 called Vampire Survivors.
Right.
That's
hundreds of my gaming hours gone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. It will be interesting to see kind of where it goes, but I can almost see that it is just going to continue like it has been for the last 5 or 6 years for another 5 or 6 years.
I'd hope something like PlayStation Plus or Game Pass will show people it's like there are other games. Try an indie. Yeah. Look at Pentiment.
Yeah. I mean, I think this
wouldn't have come out if it wasn't for Game Pass.
Yeah.
I think this Game Pass is one of those things that is getting a lot more attention because they're this new clearinghouse for interesting new games or interesting medium-sized games that like get a new life. And I think I'd love to see the numbers behind some of these because like it's got to make sense. Yeah, and
I just saw a headline the other day where it was like 2023 is a make or break year for Xbox Game Pass. I'm like, on what basis?
Yeah.
It's like there were no big AAA Microsoft games that came out in 2022. Game Pass is still, as far as I know, it's still growing. Or even if it's plateauing, it's like, what is this need to be like, oh, we have, Halo. Cool. Look, no one talks about Halo. People are like, it's game of the year, and it's like, sure. No, nobody even remembers it came out. But Game Pass is still trucking along. December last year.
Yeah.
2021. Yeah. That grappling hook should have been better. And I might have continued playing it, but it was like, the ledge is right there. And it's just like, missed it.
Yep.
Missed it. Like,
that game was
Mr. Chief.
All right.
Yeah, it seemed like it would be an alright game. It's just like, I was playing it and I was like, what is the point of this?
But you've got to get John Halo to be able to handle his thing, haven't you? Like,
but I guess that's all the games. But the shooting and the stupid colourful aliens aren't that interesting. So sorry, I'm just not a Halo fan.
I mean, as a final thought from me,
the biggest of Halo fans.
Yeah, of course. Tank Top's premium Halo fan. I'm not going to talk about Halo in my final thought, but it is what we've been talking about. The idea that we have, yes, these big budget games will exist and they might take more time to kind of come out, and hopefully there's an evolution to those, and we're looking more at things like how Elden Ring does its storytelling through its world, how The Last of Us does its storytelling through, yes, collectibles and other parts of that, but it's stuff that you might be able to kind of miss and stuff. It's not just collectibles for collectibles' sake. Absolutely. But it's like a mindset almost. Yes, these are big budget games. Yes, these are, I suppose, prestige games. But that doesn't mean that something like Vampire Survivors isn't of a similar quality in terms of the enjoyment that you will get from it, from these other games. And I think it's a mind shift in how people think about these experiences, not having to demand that 30-hour, 40-hour experience from a $70 now or £70, £55 game versus 200 hours of enjoyment from a £3 Vampire Survivors game or something along those lines.
And the thing is that Vampire Survivors is not an outlier in that sense either.
No, absolutely not. I picked up Planet Zoo for like £5 when it was on sale, and that's on my Steam thing that came up saying all the stuff that you played. That's the game I put the most amount of time into last year. A game from like 2017 or something. It's about 5 years old. Maybe not quite that much, but again, very well polished, very well made game, which might not be quite as big budget as something like The Last of Us Part 2, but is of a quality along the same kind of lines. It's a very different genre to the games that we've been talking about. Those ones that seem to be seen as like elevated above everything else. But it's just expanding horizons and taking in different games, as we say. Maybe Game Pass, maybe PS Plus now, as its current form can help with that.
It's like that tweet or whatever when someone said, I want, shorter games made in less time by smaller teams that look crappier, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't need, super polished, game. Just give me something fun every now and then. Doesn't have to blow my mind, doesn't have to, make my computer blow up. It's like, just give me something that's fun.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think any of these, I think people, that's harsh for me to say, but I don't think any of these big budget developers understand what fun means anymore. Or a lot of them don't. I think and that's unfair. Maybe the executives.
They have made the art. Let us make the money from the art.
Yes,
correct.
Yes. Fun? What is fun? Fun is making money. Ha ha ha. Eating caviar of prostitutes. Nothing else is fun.
That's it. It's the only fun you can have in the world. Let's finish our conversation there. Aadil, I know we didn't come back to you for if you had any final thoughts.
No,
on
I think we covered it. It's just like I hope that this trend of smaller games and companies and the path of bigger, fancier graphics, bigger worlds, more dialogue, more stuff is caught up to the industry. I hope that's what they take out of it, and at least, as Lucy said, some editing might happen at the very least, or at least the priority being on size or length or graphical, the extremes hopefully will get curbed such that it's about, okay, what makes people like games? How do we make sure this is a likable game? Like, it's not rocket science, and yet.
Yeah, I think they should hire us as consultants.
I agree.
I'd go in there and be like, Horizon Forbidden West seems okay. Yeah, we could go to LA. How about we just make this a 2D Metroid
set in Scunthorpe. Somewhere really.
It's probably dinosaurs then.
I mean, of a sort, yeah.
One dinosaur. The UK had one dinosaur. That's the only one that's been replicated. And badgers. Just robot badgers everywhere.
Well, you only need one.
Yeah.
Look at Metroid Dread. It's the same enemy type. The Emmys or whatever they're called.
Fair. Let's briefly give final thoughts on beers, if we have any. Lucy?
Yeah, I think the bitterness is what probably propped up the big drop. And it lasted, most of the pod. I think it's not an unpleasant experience. It's something to sup on. But yeah, I think the lack of body and that lack of anything that you'd expect those hops to do, like Mosaic, Amarillo, and Magnum, you'd expect that trio to at least bring a bit of citrusy, maybe piney kind of flavors. It just lacked it. It was just like sweet, slightly sweet flavored water, but as I say, the bitterness and a little bit of carbonation, which is more carbonation, more hops. But yeah, a little bit of bitterness and a little bit of carbonation just propped it up into being, okay, we're getting into beer territory now rather than just flavoured water. So, yeah, I'll see what the Brulo's like next week. But...
Nice.
Yeah.
I think I'd say similar things for my two. I don't think I'd drink either again unless... I don't know. I don't know what position I could be in to want to drink either of these again for any reason. Again, nice to try them just to see, to try and see what's being produced in this area. I've got a few more next week to delve into, but yeah. I just have a squash instead, innit? Or a glass of water.
Yeah.
Or some orange juice or something.
It'd be very exciting to find one that's like genuinely great.
Oh, absolutely.
It'd be amazing. And maybe even if I didn't go on and drink it, but you know what I mean? It's like, it's going to sound very hyperbolic, but like, this Cantillon is amazing. I'm going to drink it like twice in my life or something like that, because it's so hard to attain. But imagine finding the holy grail of alcohol-free beer. You may not drink it, but it's like, no, it's there.
It's there. It exists. Yeah. Good. If you want to talk to us, friends, about the beers that you're drinking or the alcohol-free beers that you're drinking, you can get us on the socials at Tanked Up Cast. You can join us in our Discord as well. So come and talk to us about the games that you're playing, if there's anything fun that you've had some time to play over your winter break, or anything big budget, little games, whatever. Come and chat to us. You can get me at Nova_47. Lucy is
Juicy Loose 9.
And Aadil is
at the Omniarch.
And you can hit one of us up for a link to our Discord. Or you can go to outoflives.net and look at the post for this episode, because it will have a link to our Discord in there as well. And you can see our beautiful faces from the YouTube video there. You can also get the audio version on the website. You can see lots of other things on outoflives.net, including Lucy's recently released review. Yes. Which you should all go and take a look at.
Super Half fresh. The presses.
Of course, tell a friend. Subscribe on iTunes or your podcast service of choice, Spotify, wherever it is you get podcasts these days. Rate and review us, because it's always helpful. Start the new year off by helping out your favourite podcast. Hopefully that's us. I think that's probably everything. We'll see you next week. Have fun. Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
www.outoflives.net